This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
This is absolute tosh.
Nobody knows who the hell he is.
And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that policeman, he apprehended a criminal in his underwear. And you're thinking, why was the criminal wearing his underwear? Boom, boom. But I don't wish to talk about that. I want to talk about John Cleese. John Cleese tried to defend his claims that London is not really English anymore. It's not really an English city, he said. Correctamundo. The 79 years old. He said his remarks were culturalist rather than racist. Cleese detailed a list of reasons why he has problems with London as part of an explanation as to why he moved to the island of Nevis in the Caribbean, wherever that is. He said it might interest those people who seem to think my remarks about London are racist as opposed to culturalist to consider that what I like about spending time in Nevis. That doesn't make sense. To consider what I like, consider that what I like about spending... Maybe he was drunk when he said it. He said, Nevis has excellent race relations, a very well-educated population, no sign of political correctness, no sign of Rupert Murdoch. Oh, he's probably there. I think his tentacles stretch everywhere. He said, there's no conscientious lawyers, a relaxed and humorous lifestyle, a deep love of cricket. Cricket!
Boring!
Ugh. And a complete lack of knife crime. And, of course, wonderful weather. Hey, we're going to get wonderful weather. I didn't... you know what I should have done? Because it seems like the start of summer. We're about to get the start of summer. One moment, please. I have detailed files. 26 degrees! I have no idea what that is, so I'll change it to proper temperature. You know, like in the good old days. Patriotic temperature. Wow! 79! 79 degrees tomorrow. Holy macaroni, it's here. Oh, no, wait. No, it's not. By next week, it's going to be raining and... raining and 66. Ugh. So summer this year will be tomorrow. And then that's it. Glasgow will, of course, have their own weather. Tonight it's going to be raining, tomorrow cloudy, raining on Sunday, raining on Monday, raining on Tuesday, raining on Wednesday, raining on Thursday, raining on Friday, raining on Saturday, raining on Sunday, raining on... I'm not making it up. That's what it says right here on an app. We're using science and everything. Raining every single day for 2 weeks in Glasgow. And then probably every day for the rest of your life. Why does it always rain on me? Because you live in Glasgow. Paul in Exeter says it's because Cleese works for the Ministry of Silly Talks. Ugh. Oh, well, it can only go up from here, right? He said John Cleese said that the icing on the cake is that Nevis is not the world centre for Russian dirty money laundering.
Affirmative.
And that's correct, because London is. London is the world centre of money laundering, period. For the international criminal super rich. It's what we do for a living. Our accounting firms, the lawyers, the banks, the financial institutions, the estate agents, that's what they're all in the business of doing. Washing money clean for the rich and shameless. John Cleese said it's legitimate to prefer one culture to another. And it is. He said, for example, I prefer cultures that do not tolerate female genital mutilation. Will this be considered racist by all those who hover eagerly, hoping that someone will offend them on someone else's behalf naturally? And that's precisely where we are. People are on the edge of their seat, desperate to take offence at something that somebody says, even if it doesn't have anything to do with them. Or, probably more accurately, especially if it doesn't have anything to do with them. Being offended on somebody else's behalf, even if they themselves aren't offended. If they're not offended, then those who wish to take offence on their behalf just to consider them ill-educated, ill-informed. And people who do that, people who are desperately waiting to be offended, all, as with one motion, clutched their pearls to their chests and had an attack of the vapours about what John Cleese said. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but leave.eu is right.
What?
The official Leave.eu account praised John Cleese. They said, bravo to British comedy legend and Brexiteer John Cleese for speaking up about the state of London. The liberal lovies on Twitter are in meltdown over his refusal to apologise for telling the truth. That's TROFF. No, that's trough. Telling the trough. Of course, Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, stuck his oar in.
Oh, no.
He just couldn't help himself. Do yourself a favour, Mayor. Take the weekend off. You don't have to respond to everything. By the way, how's that whole ultra-low emissions zone going?
Oh, fabulous.
Still can't breathe the air around here. Never mind. It's only a little like death, that's all. Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, couldn't help himself. He responded to John Cleese after the actor made comments about London. Mayor Khan referred to Cleese's comedy series Fawlty Towers, saying these comments make John Cleese sound like he's in character as Basil Fawlty. Londoners know that our diversity is our greatest strength. We are proudly the English capital, a European city and a global hub. Well, I suppose they're both right. I mean, in that respect, London is less English than, say, Budleigh Salterton. Now, I've never been to Budleigh Salterton, but it doesn't prevent me from having a strong opinion about it. I bet it's about as English as you could possibly get. The mayor posted in response to one on... No, wait, hang on a minute. Is it the mayor or is it John Cleese? John Cleese posted in response to one user on Twitter, I suspect I should apologise for my affection for the Englishness of my upbringing. But in some ways I found it calmer, more polite, more humorous, less tabloid, and less money-oriented than the one that is replacing it. Well, yes, maybe. On the other hand, it's more tolerant now. Less racist, less misogynistic, less homophobic, more open to people who are different from some historical norm. I mean, if you go back to the 1950s, if you stuck out in any way, shape or form, you were going to get attacked, either verbally or otherwise. Now you can walk down the street with green hair.
Groovy.
And you won't stick out much. And I'm not sure that Britain used to be less tabloid. I'd say that the 1970s that I knew were more tabloid. More and more bashing women who weren't glamour models, and gay bashing and racism bashing and all of the rest of it. I don't think this country used to be better for people who weren't white, male, British and straight, like John Cleese, for instance. You know, it's a bit rich for somebody with such an exalted and comfortable background as John Cleese to bemoan the current state of the country from thousands of miles away. Not everybody was comfortably well off and went to Oxford or Cambridge, whichever one it was. And according to the census, the 2011 census, the last one that I could find details for, under half of London is white British. That's 44.9%, the lowest figure for any single region in the country. That's because when people come here, they don't think, "Ooh, you know what, I must go to Harrogate. That's where the money is." Of course not. London is where it's at. Tourists want to come here. Immigrants want to come here. People from Hull want to come here. It's where it's at, man. Meanwhile, the northeast of England has the highest percentage of white British people in England, 93.6%. And that was the area, more or less, those areas that were the most white British that voted the most strongly to get out of the EU. It's not the presence of foreigners that makes you fearful of foreigners. It's the absence of them, fear of the unknown. Once you're surrounded by them, then it ceases to be fearful anymore. And it's not the first time that John Cleese has banged on about this. He said more or less the same in Australia quite a few years ago now. He said, London is no longer an English city. He said, I'm not sure what's going on in Britain. Let me say this. I don't know what's going on in London because London is no longer an English city, and that's how they got the Olympics. They said we're the most cosmopolitan city on earth, but it doesn't feel English. He said, I had a Californian friend come over 2 months ago, walked down the King's Road and said to me, well, where are all the English people? Well, they're not down the King's Road for a start. What English person can afford to live there? Cleese said, I love having different cultures around, but when the parent culture kind of dissipates, you're left thinking, well, what's going on? And the problem with that is, if you want a place to be frozen in time, like Bognor, then you're going to get Bognor. You can't have a metropolitan giant and keep it as some imagined bosky idyll. New York's not like the rest of America. Hong Kong's not like the rest of China, I imagine. You want to vie for capital of the world, you're going to have to let go of the past, open the doors, let the world in. You don't have to let it go entirely, though. Just get on the train. In half an hour, you're in English England for as far as the eye can see. Try Epsom or Banstead, John Cleese. It's as British as Waitrose, but not as warm as Nevis. I bet it isn't.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
Oh, I'd love to know. I really would. Darryl in Hove says, call me cynical, but I expect John Cleese is simply being provocative to increase his Twitter following so he gets more advertising revenue to pay his ongoing alimony. You can't make money out of Twitter, can you? Josh says, did you say Murdoch's tentacles spread everywhere, or did I mishear? Yes, you did, Josh. I actually said testicles. And Paul says, and the wealthy in the UK wash their money in places like Nevis. Yeah, you know what? That's absolutely right. This is an article from last year. The years since 2008 have seen... This is in the Guardian, the Super Soaraway Guardian. The years since 2008 have seen a global crackdown on offshore finance, yet a few places have doubled down on offering secrecy to the super-rich. Among these, one tiny Caribbean island might be the worst offender, and it's a place called Nevis. No! Exactly. Still, I'm sure it's very, very pleasant over there. Catford, hello, Steve.
Hi, Nick. Yeah, and it's extremely boring, probably.
Yeah, I bet it's really dull as ditch water, yeah. I mean, once you got used to that pleasant, balmy atmosphere, then what are you going to do with your life? I mean, we're 79 years old right now, then you don't do much, outside napping.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed, really. Not that I care. I mean, it doesn't matter what he says, but it brings up a really quite an important issue, really. London is an English city, but as you said quite rightly in your little preamble,
my rant.
Yeah, that one. It's a capital city. If you want to go to England, go to Bridport or go to Dorset, and you will see England if you want it, and it's great.
You don't even have to go that far. All you have to do is just drive 15 miles out of London, and there it is, all around you. Yeah. England.
Yeah. And who's to say that people that are walking past you that have different skin colours or different accents or different garb are not English? I mean, it's obvious what he meant. I mean, he's a gentleman of a certain age, harking back to, wherever he came from.
Well, I think patriotism increases with the distance from the place that you yearn for.
Yeah,
when you're in Britain, you don't feel that patriotic. When you go abroad, then you start sticking up for your country if somebody else, starts talking it down. Even if they're just repeating what you yourself would have said at home.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a shame because 40 Towers is genuinely a work of... It's brilliant. It's genius.
Yes, it is genius, yeah.
And it's like Basil is not the hero. Basil is the fool guy. Basil is the idiot. He's trying to feel for him.
He's the man on the edge of a nervous breakdown, always.
Yeah, and it's superb, and there are bits in it that are of its time, but I could watch it now and still laugh.
Well, for my money, he's the funniest Briton that ever existed. If you add up his back catalogue, the best of John Cleese, I think it would stack higher than anybody else's. Please don't
I
call
can't-
in and say Benny Hill. Anybody calls in and says Norman... Norman Wisdom. Anybody that calls in and says Norman Wisdom is in for strict punishment.
No, it is. You're right. I think it is Cleese, and it's. Why is it the 70s? What is it about the 70s that was so brilliant? Musically and.
I don't know. I think perhaps artistically in general, yeah, you say that about. I'm not sure about the concrete arts, but musically, definitely, films, most certainly. Not fashion, most definitely not fashion.
Well, no. I mean, there's pictures of me that I've buried in the blue sea.
And they should always remain interred. Yeah, those pictures should never see the light of day, Steve, and nor mine.
But no, poor old John Cleese. I mean, he's a silly old fool, and he's brilliant, and I love him. But
like many people who are 79 years old, they feel wistfully about their youth, and in their youth, of course, there were few people about, there were few foreigners, and I'm sure he had a very privileged and marvellous and very well off and insulated youth. I mean, he went. I don't know what his history was before he went to university. But he ended up at either Oxford or Cambridge. I can't remember which one it was.
Well, I think he came from Torquay. It's literally
right.
Not Torquay. From a coastal town. His name was John Cheese.
Really?
So
Cheese?
Yeah.
Cheese? John Cheese?
Not have you got any cheese in this cheese shop? But
of the Torquay cheeses. I had no idea. His name was Cheese. I've never heard anything like that in my life.
Well, I'm afraid I'm right, Nick.
Okay,
I'm right. So he's wrong. London is a world city. It is an English city. It's in England. It's an English city. It's a beautiful city. It's city, but
all of the above. But we would not have got where we are today without letting the world in and letting Englishness go in just this relatively small area. I mean, you can have England all the way around it, but in the actual bit itself, which is driving the entire country, then unless we want to be considerably poorer than we all are, even poorer than we are, then I think we've got to we've got to let the capital city go.
Absolutely, and I think it's a kind of minor miracle. London is a minor miracle. There are problems. There are obviously problems and crime and all that business. But for all these people getting on and intermingling and crawling around each other and
fiddling about.
Disgusting.
Yes.
And it's incredible that we kind of have this cohesion almost. That
I'm amazed that there aren't just constant riots in the streets and that people aren't killing each other in greater numbers than they already. I mean, we really do rub along fairly well for all being as hugger-mugger as we all are.
We do, and I think that's great. And I had thoughts a while ago of retiring down to the seaside, not retiring, but going down to write my best-selling novel.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, a couple of days is nice, but no, I want to get back here. I want to be here.
It's an odd thing about the seaside, isn't it? Because in some places in the world, you pay a premium to live beside the seaside, but in this country, it's where you go when you've got no other life choices, where you just go and wait to die.
Yeah, and I want to get my pass, and I want to get around London.
Are you flushing the toilet?
No, so I've just dropped something.
Ah, okay.
I'm honestly not on the toilet, Nick. I would not do that.
A very suspicious sound in the background there. I'm going to have to wind the tape back and inspect that. All right, thanks a lot, Steve. 0345. And now wash your hands. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Doris says, John Cleese is not relating to the people, but is referring to the buildings, the structure and the layout of the city. Yellow pavings, not beautiful, and grand buildings, a lot of US influence. But I'm not sure that's true, Doris. I think he is relating to the people. the buildings and the structure and the layout of the city. Well, the layout hasn't really changed much in hundreds of years. The buildings, by and large, apart from those unlovely skyscrapers that seem to be going up on a daily basis, they've changed, but you only really notice them when you get to the river and you can see a grand vista. That has changed London's skyline irreversibly. We'll never get that back again, but to be honest, London's skyline was never that great. Not a particularly nice skyline, never was. And the yellow pavings. Pavings? Yellow? You mean the lines along the side of the road? And a lot of US influence. Well, it gets everywhere, doesn't it? It's difficult to avoid because it's pop and popular. Julian in Burgess says, Nick, John Cleese is right. Even animals are now getting upset. I was at Ascot the other week and a horse took offence. I feel like I've been winded. If only I knew that's where that sentence was going, I could have saved myself 30 seconds and a lot of physical pain. Ouch. Well, I'm going to have to... if I wasn't sitting down, I think I'd have to adopt that position immediately. Don't ever write into this show again, Julian. I mean it. Drusy says, London is the most culturally tolerant city in the world! Exclamation mark. Like he or she is shouting at me. If I hadn't had a child with my girlfriend, I was going to say, it's a bloke, but not necessarily sexist. Drusy says, London is the most culturally tolerant city in the world. If I hadn't had a child with my girlfriend, there's no way I'd have left for Milton Keynes. You left for Milton Keynes? What do you want to do that for? And Pauline in Exeter says, Nick, have you been to Seaton? I've never even heard of it. He says it's like the town that time forgot. Oh, like Hove, you mean? Plenty of English people there that strangely all look related to each other. Oh, Bognor. I went to Bognor and, gosh, I've never seen so many people on motability scooters in my life. The only people that weren't there on crutches were on motability scooters, going alarmingly fast for, in my eyes. Many of them dragging a dog behind them, which was having difficulty keeping up. Zooming about the place they were. Bognor Regis. That's the place with a park. It's got this amazing... It was one of the most impressive things I saw last year. This is what I do for holidays. I take days out by the seaside. That's my life. Not that I'm complaining about it or anything.
Stop whining.
But it's got this amazing sort of pit of grasses that are about 20 foot high, and they wave in the wind in concert with each other. You've really got to see it to believe it. It's a stunning effect. And they got a pizza place in that park there, probably... I'd say it's one of the best, if not the best pizza I've ever had in my life, which was a major surprise. In the middle of a park, in the middle of Bognor. Can you believe that?
No. A young, vibrant man.
Thanks, Donny. You're the best. 0345 6060 973. Have you seen the robot that is being imported from China in celebration of Donald Trump's arrival? I'll come to that in a minute. First of all, here's a call in beautiful downtown Norwich. Hello, David.
Hi, Nick. Good evening. How are you?
I'm great, mate.
I fully agree with what Nick has said. I was born and raised in the East End of London in Walthamstow.
You agree with what who said?
John Cleese.
Oh.
Jeez. Sorry, pronunciation. But London has dramatically changed.
Since when?
Unfortunately, I broke my back on duty in the Metropolitan Police 20 years ago and moved to Norfolk. So, having been born and raised in Walthamstow, it's a place, an area I absolutely loved. Now I'm up here, but I occasionally go down to London, and to say that change has been dramatic. It's an understatement. I mean, I'd normally go from Norwich. I get off the train at Stratford. As you walk out the train station at Stratford and stand, because it's quite a high platform as you walk out, you look outside. It's like you're looking at somewhere in Islamabad. It's the number of migrants there is huge. And everything has changed about London. It's not the London I grew up in and I loved. And I now try to constantly not to go down. I'm not being nasty or racist. It's just so awful now.
I love it when people say, I'm not being racist, but... And then the next thing that they say is to a reasonable person, not unadjacent to racism.
But the thing is, though, I mean, I obviously, as I say, I grew up in Walthamstow as a kid, and I grew up with West Indian, Jamaican kids, and we were fantastic together. And I meet them and speak to them now, and they say exactly the same. And they say, "Oh my God, what has happened to our country? What's happened to London?"
Well, can I see? I'm not Jamaican, so I can't possibly speak to the experience of your average Jamaican who came here in, say, the 1970s. But I very much doubt that they were welcomed with open arms by the citizenry here.
Well, I mean, I'm now the wrong side of 60 now, unfortunately. But the kids that I grew up with in Walthamstow, they were fantastic, buddy guys. Their parents are brilliant, and we all integrated, and they grew up and they.
Well, you know what? It sounds like Rosie's glasses there, David. Everything was fantastic and wonderful and marvellous and great.
Well, it was.
No, it wasn't. Come off it. And the sun always shone, I suppose.
It was. London was a different place then. I mean,
of course it was. Everywhere was a different place then.
But life was fantastic then. But now you go down
come off it. Life was not fantastic. I grew up in the 1970s. Life was boring as hell in the 1970s. You remember what Sunday was like in the 1970s?
Yeah,
with three channels on television to watch. The internet hadn't even been invented yet. I was just yearning for school to start again so that the boredom would stop. Life was fantastic. No, it wasn't.
Well, I think it was, but I love my London as it was, but I go down and out.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've lived in London since the late 1970s, and I think that London now is better than it ever has been. There's nothing about London now that's worse than when it was than how it was then. Nothing about it is worse than how it was then. Everything is better.
Well, I think you're a diamond, but I'm going to have to disagree with you 100%.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, David.
God bless, mate. Cheers.
All right. Ta-ra. 0345 6060 973. Pauline in Exeter says, no, I've read that. Ron in Hounslow says, it's the first and so far the only thing that Sadiq Khan has got right. John Cleese is living as Basil Fawlty. Well, I'm sure there's much of people's personality in the characters that they write. Like, I'm sure that there's a lot of the Office character in Ricky Gervais, which is one of the reasons that I just can't really live with Ricky Gervais. I mean, not live with him, but since The Office, I just haven't been able to watch anything that he's in. I expect that he actually is that character a little bit. Tracy says, how can he see that London is not English anymore? He can only be talking about it about it being less white and ignoring the fact that people of colour are English too. Of course what he said was racist. I think you get to a certain age and you start thinking wistfully about the time when your knees worked and you could sit down without groaning and you could get out of a chair without using both hands. And you actually had the distant possibility of, having sex again. That's what people are missing. It's got really less to do with reality. I mean, that last fella, I'm sure, was perfectly pleasant in every respect, but life was great then in every way. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Life was kind of dull. I mean, you can remember when pubs closed at 2:00 on Sunday afternoon, and so did the alcohol section of supermarkets? If you wanted to drink between 2 and 7 on a Sunday, you had to get up out of bed and hurtle down to the supermarket before they'd pull the blinds closed on the alcohol section. That's how dull it was in this. I mean, I know that alcohol isn't necessarily the answer to everything. Only most things. But it's an indicator of how kind of provincial life used to be. Dull. It was more boring. Everything is better now. We got better transport. We got better. The museums are better. There are more art galleries. There's more things to do. There's more. There's better places to be. I can't think of anything that's worse, with the possible exception of the quality of air, which may have been a little better in the 1970s, but I'm not absolutely sure about that. Let's have a call in Wanstead. Hey up, Sophie.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
I'm super, thanks for asking.
Well, I hope we're not coming up to the headlines, Nick.
No, we're way away. It's 22.
Well, before I get on to my main point...
Oh, there's a sub-point.
There's a sub-point. Now, the American ambassador is going to be in big trouble with Trump when he comes next week. Because I don't know if you heard the Nick Ferrari interview with him.
No.
And there were two boo-boos in that interview. So first Nick...
A boo-boo? Uh-oh.
Nick said, I'm sure he's very funny in private. And the ambassador said, yes, he's very funny in public. And I thought, yep, you've got that one right.
Yes, but not in the way that he meant it.
He's very funny. No, Nick asked him about private, and he said public. And I thought, that's a Freudian slip. Even you don't like your own president.
Even I don't what now?
No, even the ambassador thinks.
Oh, yeah. I seriously doubt that that's what the ambassador meant. But he was trying to big Donnie up. That's the key to getting along with Donald Trump. Just tell him he's huge and wonderful and tremendous and big.
Well, if I wasn't back at school on Monday, violin time, I'm sure I would have been protesting with the costume of the Statue of Liberty, holding the American Constitution. But as I'm going back to school, I can't do that.
Right.
Sorry. Anti-Trump tirade over. But as long as John Cleese didn't mean that Britain or England is not as white as it used to be, I think he has every right to make a comment. It has changed, and Dave said that Walthamstow has changed. Walthamstow certainly has changed, but not in the way he means. Walthamstow has been completely gentrified, and all the white middle-class couples who cannot afford Dalston, Hackney, Islington, are coming to Walthamstow and Leytonstone. And it has absolutely changed, but not in the way he means. And when he says that he sees immigrants in Stratford Station, they're actually not immigrants, they're Londoners. And there's something to be said for, uniting under the English or the British flag. But the great thing about London and Britain is that we are all so tolerant of each other, by and large.
Yeah, yes, but tolerance kind of implies that you don't like something, but you're going to put up with it.
Well, the thing is, sometimes that's what you have to do, be diplomatic and get on with people.
Yeah, I mean, you tolerate pain, don't you? Well, it's true.
Even if you don't necessarily agree with everything they say. One of the things that I think America has got right, I know I'm always on a tirade against Trump, is the fact that they really do consider themselves Americans. Okay, you might be a black American and we didn't give you the vote until 1964 and we're lynching and shooting you to high heaven, but you're American. Okay, you're an American Indian and you've been sidelined and we've completely taken over your lands, but you're still an American. They do that thing about being united under one flag. I think if they can live that to its truest creed, then it would be a great nation. But, there's a lot of inequality and unfairness.
I think the things that have made London great aren't necessarily rooted in Englishness. I think they're rooted in the bringing from the rest of the world what it has to offer and sort of monetizing it in a lot of cases, or just bringing it here and stirring it up into a melting pot.
Want to score some pot?
Not that kind of pot.
Completely. When I went out to vote, and I promised myself I wouldn't, or I would spoil my paper, but in the end I did vote.
Lib Dem.
I'll plead the fifth on that point. But what was really, really nice was the generations, the colours, the races, old and young, coming out to vote. And that was I think that was the best thing to come out.
Well, I don't know where you voted, Sophie, but there was absolutely nobody there when I went. No one at all. There never is. There's more people sitting behind the desk taking your name than there is people queuing up outside to get in there. Not one single person. The turnout was abysmal. That's the big number from the European elections, is how many people could not be bothered to go and vote. For crying out loud. What's it going to take, people? Anyway, Sophie, I've got to go, but thanks a lot. I hope that work day is not as painful as it actually sounds. Going back to school. Ugh.
Boring.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
I am not one of your fans!
Dozer tweets, my partner wants you to play the I am not one of your fans clip. I'm sorry, but I don't have that with me. Dave says, John Cleese employed Manuel, making Torquay less English by one person. There you are, you see. Guilty! And this tweet says, everything was better back when I was little. Probably because when I was a kid, I didn't have any responsibility. I didn't have to go to work. And I spent my free time with friends. Mum cooked my meals. Of course, life was better back then. Exactly what I'm saying. It's not that it was better. It's just that you filter out the bad bits. It was all swallows and Amazons when you were a kid. But not when you were actually a kid. Only in retrospect. It's called in Tottenham. Maya.
Hello.
An ecstasy of fumbling. Yes, Maya.
Oh, yes. I just wanted to say about John Cleese, I think he is right to a certain extent. London is very different, but that's because London is the New York of Europe, and the only other city you can compare it to today is New York.
That's right.
When he was growing up, you certainly wouldn't compare London to New York.
Well, no, definitely not. I mean, it was as run down as New York, and it was and poverty was all about, but it wasn't. It didn't have the excitement of New York. No.
Yeah, so a lot of people, just like New York, a lot of people come to London to get to the top of their careers. So, for example, if you want to make it in the fashion industry, you come to London. If you want to make it in media, you come to London. If you want to make it in banking, you come to London. If you want a job in tech, you come to London. If you want to work at the HQ of international and national and European companies, you come to London.
Singapore.
A lot of them are based in London, right? So the kind of people London attracts is the most ambitious people, is the most focused people. It's people who have a career plan, and it can be very sharp elbows, because people are trying to get to the top of their field. Now, the London he's talking about is those kind of Londoners today probably couldn't afford to live in London, because so many people want to live here because they want to get to the top of their careers and so forth. And also, people come to London today to meet the rest of the world, not to meet English people. And network in London.
Well, now, wait a minute. What's wrong with English people?
Nothing, but if you want to meet English people, you go to Hull, or you go to Sunderland. You don't go to London, do you?
Well, I guess not, yeah. Tourists don't come to London in order to mix with English people. They come for the...
come on, that's...
Well, they don't.
I mean, I'm talking. I'm not talking about tourists. I think the tourists would, but I'm talking about people who come here for. He's not talking about the tourists either, is he? I'm talking about people who come here for their
work.
Career purposes.
Yeah, I get you.
For work, yes. They come here because they know.
Because that's where the work is. This is where the money is. That's right.
Yeah, this is where the money is, and this is where the networks are. So they could have a network, a contact in Italy, or Spain, or Portugal, or New York.
You know, maybe the internet, not at the moment, but maybe eventually the internet is going to change all that, and people won't actually be working in major conurbations. They might want to live there because that's where concentrations of art and so on are. But this whole idea of commuting that seems to be an idea that's past its time, doesn't it? I mean,
it does. Yeah, you're right. I think it does, and I think it'll probably spread the wealth out a bit. But right now, the wealth is in London, so people would want to come here. And University College London, that is based in London, markets itself as the global university in the global city. So this has always been very planned as well. Do you know what I mean? People saw it very much as the future. And I understand for some people who aren't part of that, it has led to some people are romanced about the past, and some people are bitter because they aren't part of the London economy and would like to be part of the London economy.
Well, okay, they may be aggrieved, but there's a lot of people who don't necessarily just follow the money. A lot of people have decided that life is not necessarily best prosecuted in the pursuit of ever larger amounts of cash. And those people may be right. They may be the only sane ones out there. But for the benefit of the country, it's a good job that there are a lot of people who want to leap upon the treadmill and spend their days barking at each other like dogs and scrabbling over each other to get ahead, because that's what makes the economy tick over.
Yeah, and also London tends to have a transient community, so people work here for 6 months, a year, however long their contract is, and they move on. They don't have the same vested interest that maybe people who've lived here generations and generations have.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
They're just passing through, and that's what all those skyscrapers of charmless executive flatlets are all about. And they pop up on a virtual daily basis. Every time you look around, there's another one of those things. And you think, for crying out loud, why do we need another block of £2-3 million tiny little flats with no cupboards and barely any windows? And the reason that they can get away with putting them up is because, like you say, Maya, the people are just passing through. But they're making a lot of money while they're doing it. All right, thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Abby in Surrey says, as an immigrant myself, I find the word tolerant insulting and patronising. I am not an ache to be tolerated, but a human being to be seen as an equal, a fellow human being, says Abby. Yeah, that word tolerant, I don't think it means quite what people think that it does. I think it's used wrongly in almost all cases. Acceptance is a better word. You tolerate a pain. You don't accept it. You accept something that's pleasant. You tolerate something that's unpleasant. In a sort of, oh, all right then, kind of way. Who's been waiting the longest? Let's have a call in Chertsey. Oh, Tony.
Hi there, mate.
Tony.
Nick, I was just thinking, I tolerate the abysmal position of the railway network at the weekends. You know, it seems to me there's always something going wrong at the weekends. You know, engineering works are everywhere.
Yeah, but that's not going wrong. That's fixing what's wrong.
Well, you can never actually see whatever they fix. You know, when you do go.
Well, you're expecting them to shine the tracks. What are you expecting to see?
Well, some evidence of something being done.
But the evidence is that during the week, things work practically perfectly all of the time. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
I meant that sarcastically. But I suppose, generally speaking, things do work remarkably well. I think that the train system, particularly over the last couple of years, has been changed out of all recognition, really. I mean, it's still quite expensive, but the regularity and the precision at which it runs is really a marvel when you think about it. I mean, too right. Coming in and out of Clapham Junction, for instance, or London Bridge, or in and out of King's Cross, all of these places, there's trains leaving, every minute, pretty much to the second. It's a remarkable achievement.
Yeah. In the week, but not at the
weekend. Well, they've got to do work sometime.
Well, I don't know. I mean, what are they doing? Do you know what they're doing?
Me? No idea. Why? I don't even know what points are or why they keep failing all the time. Can't they buy new points? They seem very unreliable.
That's right. And I'm not so sure how they work either. And the problem is you can't actually see any points close up. You know, you can only see them when you're on the train. They don't actually exist on in stations. You know, they exist outside stations, so you can't really see them. Because it's interesting.
Maybe actually there's no such thing. Maybe it's just like a blanket excuse for anything, any screw-ups they make. Oh, it's the points, they say.
Yeah.
And ignorant members of the public like me nod our heads sagely and go, oh, yes, the points. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's actually no such thing as points. Maybe it's just something he invented.
Well, it's not so much point failure, but signal failures.
Oh, don't talk to me about signals.
Right, yeah. Why not? Oh, and another thing, Nick, and another thing.
Yes.
Your habit, can I get it without all that tedious emails and passwords and all that sort of
No,
thing?
none of that is required. All you have to do is just look for it on the internet. Do a web search on Nick Abbot Habit. And there's loads of podcast sites. As soon as that page pops up, you just click on it and off you go.
Oh, superb. A breath of fresh air. Because trying to do anything else, you know, I mean, I think the internet is probably the most powerful tool that we've ever invented.
It's the greatest tool of freedom and of oppression that has ever existed. It's the greatest time saver and time waster that has ever existed. You look at one Pussycat video, and 3 hours later, you're still looking at them. Just put the mouse, push the mouse away, and step away from the screen, Tony.
Nick, and yet another thing.
Well, unfortunately, if only we had time.
Oh,
but sadly, we're out of it.
Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
I'd like to punch him in the face. This guy is sick. There's something wrong with this guy.
Speaking of Donald Trump has come close to endorsing his friend Boris Johnson as his pick to succeed to Theresa May as Prime Minister ahead of his state visit to here next week. He's coming here.
Oh, no.
He used his best words to praise his close personal friend, Donny. Funny I could find that. Where is it? My best words. I know words. I know the best words.
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words.
I'm still getting used to this board. The US president described Boris Johnson along with Nigel Farage as, quotes, very good guys. He said, maybe it's not my business to support people. Well, maybe you should keep your mouth shut, because whatever you say, Donny, smart people tend to believe the opposite. People don't think you're that smart, Donny.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
His interjection will place him at the heart of the battle to succeed Mrs. M as his favourite candidate. And, you know what? It would be really disadvantageous if somebody had anything on tape that would upset the notoriously thin-skinned, screaming Mimi in the White House. If any of his favourite people had said something that would put him out of sorts.
I think Donald Trump is clearly out of his mind.
I mean, if anyone has anything that would make Ancient Orange go into a sulk and throw his rattle out of his pram, they'd better keep it to themselves in case it scuppers someone's chances.
I think Donald Trump is clearly out of his mind.
And he arrives on June the 3rd. He's going to meet the Queen, as though that poor woman hasn't suffered enough. Keep your hands to yourself, President Grabby.
I cherish women.
It'll be just, and what is it, Monday? Just enough time, by the way, to import that giant robot of Fat Donny sitting on a golden toilet, tweeting about what a stable genius he is. That's a real thing, by the way. It's coming from China. It's 16 feet high. It pictures the tangerine screen with his trousers down around his ankles and his big red tie dangling in the toilet. And it actually makes noises.
Whoop-dee-dee scoop poop.
That sort of thing. I say that we stick it at the end of the banquet table when he meets the Queen. It'll make him feel right at home.
Oh, shut up!
Speaking to the media in the US, he said, Nigel Farage is a friend of mine, Boris is a friend of mine. They are two very good guys, very interesting people. Well, yeah, they're interesting, all right. I don't know if he means that as an insult. Oh, they're interesting.
I'm a nutcase.
He says, I like them. They're friends of mine, but I haven't thought about supporting them. Maybe it's not my business to support people, but I have a lot of respect for both of those men. Is it just me, or would you keep your hand on your wallet around anyone that Donald Trump feels that he has great respect for? That robot, by the way, was built by a man who worked on Jurassic Park. So he is used to working on old dinosaurs.
I am a young, vibrant man.
He actually said that. That's not me cutting it up. He said that out loud. Here's a call in Dagenham. Verrill.
Hello.
Hello.
I was just wondering. This is not what I found about, but you just said something there a while ago. Are all the women in America that voted for Donald Trump, are they all called Sarah Huckabee?
Many of them look like her. I'm not sure that
because
they named
she has
her.
never said a bad word about that man. It doesn't matter what a man says, that woman says.
Well, that's her job.
Yeah, she might get grabbed by certain parts of her body as well, certain times as well.
And it's her job to like it. Or to at least not say anything about it.
Oh, all right. Anyway, what I found about was a guy that said that back in the late 60s, 70s, Walthamstow and London was fantastic, and Jamaicans were welcome. Well, I tell you what, I really think it's changed a lot. I tell you why it's changed a lot. I don't have to run from teddy boys anymore with bicycle chains chasing black boys down the street. I don't have to run from the police anymore. There's so much things have changed. It's changed for the better.
I think so, and you also don't have to turn on the television and see comics making fun of people just because of what they look like, what the colour of their skin is, or any of these things.
Exactly. No more nothing in the riots. I remember the riots. I was only about 17, 18 then. All those things have changed. And if that's what he means by change, that's fantastic change.
I think that London is getting better every day. I also think that, and I've said this out loud many, many times, that I think that we are probably the luckiest people that have ever lived, but also we are the luckiest people that will ever live. Because at this moment, we have all of the advances that we've recently started to enjoy. There's the internet, there's a communications revolution. We got phones that fold now.
Groovy. Yep.
And the transport has improved beyond measure. We got cars that actually start when you turn the key. Imagine that. But what we don't have is what people are going to have to live with shortly, and that's too many people. We don't have that yet. There's still enough space to go around. There's still enough food to go around. But in 50 years or 100 years, that might not be the case. So suck it up, people, and let's cease the complaining.
Stop whining.
Because we are the luckiest people that have ever lived, but also probably the luckiest people that will ever live. And we're in Great Britain. And I don't think that it gets any better than that. I mean, not everything is right with this country. There is room for improvement. But compared to everywhere else, I think we're pretty lucky.
Well, John Cleese and his dinosaur friends has moved out of London now, so we got a little bit more room.
Isn't it funny how all of those people that move elsewhere in order to pay less tax in the country that they supposedly feel patriotic about feel more wistfully about it the further away they get. The less they contribute, the more they seem to want to influence the direction of the country.
I don't like foreigners, but I'm moving to Spain. I don't like foreigners, but I'm moving to the West Indies. There's some funny people in this world.
Yeah. He is one of them.
Where are you going? I'm going to Germany.
Yeah, he is a funny person in all.
He is a very funny person.
In all meanings of that word. All right, thanks a lot, Beryl. 0345 6060 973. Paul says Donald is known for his judgment of character. Yes. Yeah. Craig in Wanster says the orange one is still number one in the Mensa charts. Well, he is very highly educated. He's a very smart person. He's just not a very nice person.
Donald Trump is a very nice person.
Oh, well, I got that wrong. Alice tweets, please play that Donald clip again. Did he say vibrant? Yeah, he did.
I am a young, vibrant man.
A young, vibrant man. Donald Trump is a young, vibrant man. Wrong on all counts, including the man part. Alice tweet. Oh no, I've read that. Len says Donald has a lot of friends all over the world. The trouble is they're outnumbered 10-1 by all of his enemies. Yeah, I'm sure that's absolutely true. You know, he would have been richer now if he'd just done nothing. If he'd just taken the £450 million dollars he got from his daddy, even if he'd just taken the $1 million that he lied about receiving from his dad. You know, I had a very, very small loan of $1 million. Well, first of all, $1 million is not a small loan. And it wasn't $1 million, it was $450 million. I'm not saying that the President of the United States of America is disseminating misinformation, but... Liar! He's a liar. $450 million. If he'd just put it in the bank, he'd be richer now than he actually is. And he would have saved all of that misery. All of those ruined lives in his wake. If he'd just done nothing, he'd be better off now than he actually is. We don't really know how poorly off he is, how up to his eyeballs in debt, because he refuses to let us see. And I think the proof of that is obvious. If he was as rich as he says he is, then he would be boasting about it, and he would be telling us about it. He'd be putting his accounts on Twitter on the hour, every hour. But because he's keeping it from us, it must be really, really bad. Emma in New Forest says, I've heard Donny loves London. He's coming over to see his friends Boris and Nigel. I think they're having a play date. Scott in Chelmsford says, I was in PC World the other day. You really have to be careful about what you say in there. Oh... I am in pain. Listeners with material.
Oh, no.
Newcastle. Hello, Paul.
Oh, hello. Are you still going on about John Cleese?
Going on about?
Mr. Cleese.
Yeah.
I like to call him, because he's up here, believe it or not. You wouldn't believe it. Yeah, we've got Mr. Cleese here.
What?
And... yeah, there's a Mr. Cleese. He lives on St. Mary's Island, just off the coast of Whitley Bay.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Paul. What are you talking about?
Oh, I saw Mr. John Cleese.
Yeah.
So that was the point of the topic.
Topic?
Topic of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But,
but what are you talking about? I know what I'm talking about. What are you talking about?
Oh... Well, I just picked up on John Cleese, that's all.
Yeah.
There's a
I understand the John Cleese part, but then you drifted off into something about an island.
Oh, yes. There's a little island here called... I know people talk about him going offshore. Well, there's a Mr. Cleese with a little dog and a funny walk. And he lives on St. Mary's Island, Whitley Bay.
Oh, I'm afraid that we're out of time on that call. Gosh, I really hate that when that happens. Still, it was interesting while it lasted, wasn't it?
No.
Carl in Blackpool says, I live in Blackpool. But I know that. And he says, my God, if you want to stay in a static time zone, move here. He says, everyone was just getting the knack of CFAX, and then they go and replace it with something called the worldwideweb.com. I've been to Blackpool like a couple of years ago, and that sounds about right. Yeah, it's a static time zone. If you gave people bell bottoms and increased the size of the collars of their shirts, you'd be back in 1973. If people were wearing Brutus jeans, then we'd be back in the 1970s in Blackpool. Yeah, everything stayed pretty much the same. By the way, if you go to Blackpool, take a packed lunch, because you don't want to eat there. Josh in Huddersfield says, I spent, unless you run a restaurant in Blackpool, in which case I take that back. Josh in Huddersfield says, I spent part of the 1970s in New York as a teenager and at the time considered it the best city in the world. I spent the mid-80s and the 90s in London. London wins hands down. Well, I spent a brief time in New York in 1978 and then again a couple of years later. And I have to say it's the most exciting place I've ever been up to that point and since. Even New York now is not as exciting as it used to be in the 1970s. And by exciting, I mean terrifying. I've never been anywhere like it, before or since. It was a feeling of, it was like being electrocuted all the time. Like there was a small electrical charge running through the streets and up your legs and boggling your eyes. It was just, it was a fantastic but scary place. Great to visit. In fact, I'd love to visit that now. Get into a time machine and go back. But I wouldn't want to live there. Wouldn't want to stay there. But I'm glad that I saw it. At the moment that they released, and it was a perfect encapsulation of the time and the feeling of the place and everything about it. People peeing in the streets like they just don't care. That was the summer that they released The Message, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Rock and roll!
The disco was king and punk was emerging and all. It was just what a fantastic time to be there. Yeah, the most exciting city in the world, no doubt. But London is a more pleasant place both then and now to live. And even Mark say it's got to be there's got to be a better way to pick a prime minister. How about a cheese race? What you mean? You mean the cheese rolling race, where they hurtle themselves or just chuck themselves down some vertiginous slope in pursuit of a bit of cheese? I'd actually pay money to see that, wouldn't you? Line up all the contestants and have them chuck themselves down this steep slope. That'd be great. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at. By the way, if you want to really laugh out loud and virtually, lose control of yourself, then try and pick up a video of them doing that. It is hilarious. The cheese rolling race, wherever they do that, like Devon or Cornwall, somewhere like that. Somewhere properly British.
Yes, hello. I've been waiting for you. Hello.
Hello. 0345 6060 973. This says cheese rolling at Coopers Hill, Gloucester. Winner wins £8 of double Gloucester. What are you going to do with £8 of cheese? Share it out. This says, I come from the future, 2041, and I can tell you that Donald and Nigel will save us all, the most successful politicians that will ever live. Wait and see. Please. Yeah, right. Donald Trump is the least popular president in history. Nobody in the history of American presidencies is as unpopular as him.
A president! Can you believe it?
No, we're all still stunned. And as for Uncle Nige...
I'm a nutcase.
I very much doubt it. He's not even as popular as the Lib Dems. Of course, he'll wave his arms around and try to protest otherwise. Hey, Nige!
Stop whining.
Just got beat. Devin Ryslip says, back in the day we had a great time. So what if the pubs closed early? We had fun. It was not dull. You're talking rubbish, says Deb. Well, Deb, you're talking rubbish. So no. She said, we had a laugh and met up down the pub and met and chatted with loads of people from everywhere. That doesn't seem to happen now for youngsters meeting up, says Deb. Well, I'm not sure that's right at all. I think that I think that kids how to put this? Their solitude has been somewhat overstated. They're not all glued to their phones in and of themselves. They're glued to communicating with other people on their phones. And it doesn't mean that they don't actually talk to each other face to face ever, ever, ever. Of course they do. They must do. I mean, people still, kids still, hang on, I'm going to cough. Shh. People still run around as kids in the playground, screaming and shouting at each other. It's not all phone related, is it? And people still do go out. They must do. So you're totally wrong about that, Deb. It's just because you were younger, that's all. You just remember it as, the good old days. Ugh, is there anything more depressing than people banging on about the good old days? Papa G says, Nick, I tried that cheese rolling thing. I broke my coccyx. You broke your coccyx?
Disgusting.
That's a little bit too much information, Papa G. Basingstoke. Hello, Liam.
Hello, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
You were saying earlier on about how we're better off now than ever before.
Yes.
Well, I had an incident at work today.
An incident?
An incident, where my jeans ripped, and it was, I had to take measures to stop the jeans ripping. I thought a million years ago I would have just been able to run around, with my loincloth, hunting, whatever we were hunting a million years ago. So yeah. I'm not too sure that we're better off now than what we used to be.
Well, because we used to be able to wander around with our parts hanging out.
Yeah, hanging around, loincloths.
Yeah, not very supportive of loincloth, though, is it?
Well, I mean, everyone has a different, everyone has a different size loincloth, But I'm not sure. I'm really at this theory that I'm not sure we're more intelligent now because we've got the internet and phones and sat navs and all that. I'm not sure we're more intelligent.
Well, I never said we were more intelligent. We have the ability to be more informed, but sadly that doesn't appear to be the way that we're going.
No, which brings me to my next point, because I heard you were about tolerant and all that. I can't tolerate any politician with the first name of Nigel.
It's a Nigel thing, is it?
Yeah, well, it's like having a Prime Minister called Kevin.
Right. Yeah, that just wouldn't work. Yeah.
Of course it wouldn't. I mean, but now someone's called Nigel's popped up, followed by someone called Boris. I mean, where does it all end?
Yeah, that would be a move too far from Boris. Yeah, it just doesn't sound right, does it?
Doesn't sound right. No. I mean, I'm not having to go at your mate Jeremy because I don't like politicians. Full stop. I mean, I don't. I just don't like them. Full stop.
Who's Jeremy, by the way?
Who's Jeremy? That's what. I mean, I know you got a load of people. My last point here.
No, who is? Wait a minute. Wait. Who is Jeremy?
Well, you keep going on about him all the time. Jeremy.
Jezza. Right. I'd forgotten about him. Yeah, the bearded, bearded weirdo.
I think he's got a beard, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. A few weeks ago you had your 12:30. You had Alien News. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, I got more Alien News, by the way, but not really. Yeah, I'll bring it in tomorrow. And this is not just any old Alien News. This is Alien News from people who are experts in this regard. In other words, who are highly trained American fast jet fighters who aren't really usually disposed to making stuff up or fantasizing about what it is that they have seen. These are scientists. On what they've seen, well, never mind about what they've seen. What they've got on video is just is quite alarming. They're here, they're among us. Nothing to be worried about, Liam, but we're all going to die. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Actually, if they were here with evil intent, you'd think that we'd be dead already. Or maybe they're just sizing us up. Maybe they've come here on a holiday. This planet is like a great big zoo to them. Kind of alarming, really. What a prospect. Midge says the weather in Scotland is the perfect Trump repellent. Well, as in midges. But I guess that's got nothing to do with the weather. Leroy says, seems fitting to drag this one out again. What's the difference between a toilet and UKIP? We don't do jokes. Jim says, I suppose the bits of London that aren't yet owned by Q8 are worth a look, but otherwise it's as charmless as those tower blocks that you mentioned. Bent money and bent policies conspire to make it less affordable to the kind of people that made it interesting. Yet that is true. But that's why areas such as the East End of London and beyond have become more interesting than they used to be. I mean, people call it gentrification, but that also means that there are things to do there where previously there weren't. Art galleries and coffee shops and restaurants and, all that stuff that people actually like, rather than just streets of endless terraced housing where there is nothing to do but open the door and walk inside. But yeah, Q8 does own a disproportionate amount of London. That is absolutely true. All of the bits that are over 5 floors high, pretty much, are owned by Q8. Highly suspicious, if you ask me. And Linda says, I want one of Trump's special mirrors. The ones in which he gazes upon his marvellous reflection. I think he likes the mirror more than he likes his wife. What do you think of that, Melania?
I don't care.
Trying to be funny because I'm all out of laughs.
Shelley in Port Solent says, I'm so looking forward to seeing Mr. Trump in Southsea on Wednesday. You and other bitter Remainers will not be missed. Southsea? What's he going there for? Paul says, I wonder what they're going to do with that statue of him on the toilet. I really, really want to see that. I'm sure he wants to see it too. Let's make it happen. Paul says, I agree things are generally much better now than they were in the 1970s, especially architecture and transport and education. We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control.
Rock and roll!
He says, however, there is one thing that never changes here. Why are there only 4 road workers on the entire UK motorways network? Please tell them to get their fingers out. Oh, they got cones, though. They have no end of cones and 50-mile-an-hour average speed camera areas, which are the only kind of instructions by the side of the road that anybody pays the slightest bit of attention to. Average speed cameras correct an entire motorway. Anything else, nobody's remotely interested. It's as though the rules are not don't relate to them. But put up an average speed camera and everyone is cowed. Patrick in Guildford says, remember the halcyon days of British Rail in the 1970s? The skip loads of fag ends piled ankle high on worn-out lino floors, the brown ferrous oxide stains around the window frames, and those huge old stuffy crimson seat cushions puffing out dust like the fallout over Chernobyl. Yeah, I do. I can also remember it was virtually impossible to get out. For some mystifying reason, there was no way of opening the door from the inside. Do you remember that? You had to open the window, which in itself was quite difficult, and then lean out, which doesn't sound like it's something that would correspond to a modern-day health and safety. And you virtually needed the strength of Arnold Schwarzenegger just to pull that lever to the left in order to open the blooming doors.
Affirmative.
Once you were in, that's pretty much where you stayed. And there was no corridor as well. So once you were in, and if you needed to go to the loo, then you were fresh out of luck. Or at least the passengers in there with you were out of luck. Mark says, at least we had pubs in the 1970s. They're all boarded up or flats now. Yeah, well, you could say the same about churches. At least we had a lot of churches in the 1970s, and they're all boarded up or flats now. That's because people don't want to go there anymore. People don't want to go to churches anymore, and they don't want to go to pubs anymore. Why would you want to go to a pub? Or at least a pub like they used to be in the 1970s, where you just stand leaning against a bar, surrounded by singletons, breathing the fetid air, while some old dear at the end of the bar would nurse a bottle of Guinness for 3 hours. And people were only in there, like blokes would go there in order to get away from the wife. Why would you want to hang around those people? That's why pubs have closed, because they were terrible. It's the same with a lot of things. You know, people are bemoaning that the closing of the high street, which is, it's bad in one way, but in another, the reason that people didn't go to shops, like department stores, for instance, is because they were stuck in the 1970s. They hadn't changed. People weren't going in there because they weren't very good. Just like pubs. People stopped going into pubs, not because of a lack of patriotism, it's because pubs weren't very good. They didn't give good value for money. They weren't an entertaining and pleasant place to be. Much nicer to just not go out. Or pubs would change into being gastro pubs, much to the consternation of locals. But, I mean, I used to work in a pub for 5 years. And it wasn't a pleasant pub either. It was in Clapham North, which, let me tell you, in the 1980s was a lot more dangerous and scummier place than it is now. And it was like virtually on the front line. When the police started patrolling Brixton in great numbers after the riots and so on down there, all the crime just moved up about a mile or so to Clapham North, around where I was working in this pub. And you'd open the doors at 11 o'clock in the morning, and there'd be people queuing outside, waiting to get in. The same people every day. And they'd sit there on their own, nursing a drink for hours on end. Why would anybody want to go there? It's a good thing that they're closing. Edward emails, whilst Trump and his press secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders are blaming everything on immigrants, he's been busy giving 83% of his $1.5 trillion tax cuts to the 1%, and the Make America Great yeehaws still haven't worked it out yet. Well, the stupid is strong with them. And that's not just me making it up. I mean, Donald Trump has said it to their faces.
I love the poorly educated.
I love the poorly educated, he said. I've said this before, he is like one of those magician's acts who will say, I am picking your pocket, while he's picking your pocket. And you think, well, he's told me he's picking my pocket, so he can't possibly be picking my pocket, but he is actually picking your pocket. He uses words unlike anybody I can think of. He tells you that he's committing a crime while he's committing the crime.
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words.
It's what a weird time we're living through. I mean, it's the best of times, it's the worst of times, isn't it? Oh, come on, Nick, make your mind up. Which is it? Halden emails, late 1970s we were able to sit down and smoke a cigarette on the underground train. Now you can't even breathe. Well, what is that dust down there? I suspect that the dust down there in the underground, because you come up and you blow your nose and it's black.
Disgusting.
Ugh. And I believe that those are the skin cells, the sloughed off skin cells of millions of people over hundreds of years. That's probably what you're breathing. David in Crouch End says, things have changed. People are always in a rush. If I hold a door open for someone, very rarely do I get a thank you. And how can you claim London is better now with all this knife crime? Oh, please. Knife crime isn't a new thing. I mean, try wandering around Victorian London. You think it's dangerous now? The only reason that people are more concerned about the rate of crime now is because it's being reported more, not necessarily it is occurring more. I think the 1950s were extremely dangerous. I mean, the people go on about, during the war, it's fantastic during the war. You could leave your door open and you come back, nothing was stolen. Well, that's because you didn't have anything worth stealing. What were people going to do? Come in and nick your mangle? Declan emails. It's true how you describe the English seaside, Nick. As the old saying goes, Portsmouth for the continent, Bournemouth for the incontinent. Rude. I've never been to Bournemouth because it costs too blooming much. I know I've mentioned this a lot, but why does it cost £100 for two people to go to Bournemouth and back? £100. I could go to the south of France for that. Why does it cost so much to go to Bournemouth? Is a call in beautiful downtown Hull. Paul. Yes, Paul.
Hello, Nick.
Is there a delay on the line?
Oh, sorry, Nick. Nick, it is what a fantastic show tonight. Absolutely fantastic. But just going back to your comment earlier about the pubs back in the 70s.
Yes.
The 70s were fantastic. We used to go out, there was dancing on the tables. You had a great time.
Dancing on the tables?
Fantastic. Yes. Yeah. I mean, the pubs, unfortunately, the pubs are dying a death now.
Yeah. Fortunately, it's not unfortunately, it's fortunately. Pubs that people don't want to go in are dying, and people don't want to go in them because they're not very nice.
No way. Nick, how old are you?
I am 58.
Right, I'm 50. And to be honest
well, then
with you,
I know more than you.
No.
By definition.
Nick, the 70s, 80s were fantastic.
No, they weren't.
What a great era. Oh, they were, man.
No.
What a great era.
It's just because your knees worked then, Paul, and you had the outside possibility of having sex again. That's why you think positively about those times.
Right. Yeah, you could be right. You could be right. But it was great. We used to go out on a Friday. You used to go home Sunday, 11 o'clock. It was a lock-in after 11 o'clock, wasn't it?
That just sounds... I can't think of anything worse than that. A lock-in.
No.
You've spent the evening drinking, and then you're going to continue just leaning against a bar and drinking. That just sounds so terrible.
And having fun.
Fun?
We don't have fun anymore. I don't think we do. I think we just go out and we'll go through the motions. I don't think we have fun like we used to do in the 70s, 80s.
You mean you go through the motions because you're not young anymore. You're not young and free and single.
You could be right.
Yeah.
You could be well right. Hey, great show, Nick.
All right, thanks a lot, Paul. 0345 6060 973. People still go out, don't they? People still go out and do the disco dancing, surely. Are you dancing? They must do. I wonder if they do. I mean, are the kids still going out and dancing? They must do. Are clubs still a thing? I've got no idea. Isaac in Finchley writes, what are your thoughts on the 12 Conservative candidates that put themselves forward? Any more and they'll have beaten the amount of people that Love Island have introduced. Oh, God, Love Island. Crying out loud. The amount of coverage that the Daily Mail's website has already given to that stupid show. I mean, okay. Full disclosure, I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it, but it doesn't prevent me from having a strong opinion. It looks like a giant waste of time to me. Why are people watching that garbage that I don't know anything about? Admittedly. Love Island. I mean, what is it? It's just soft pornography on the television. I mean, that's what I glean from it. Very few clothes are worn on that show. It's for titillation.
Disgusting.
Nobody's ever going to have sex on that show. Well, if they do, you aren't going to see it. They're never going to show you people having sex on that show. So you're wasting your time. Frank in Egremont says, if you really, really, really want a damn good laugh, appoint Boris Johnson as Prime Minister. It's about time that we had comedy in this country. Well, we would be vying with America to be the laughing stock of the world.
Oh, shut up!
If we had Bozo of X of the FO in charge of this country. And when Donald Trump finds out what Boris Johnson really, really thinks of him, then we're all in big trouble.
I think Donald Trump is clearly out of his mind.
0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC. Let me just quickly remind you about my podcast. It's called the Nick Abbott Habit. If you download it, things like that from the internet, then just do a Google search. Other search engines are available, but nobody ever uses them. Do a search on the Nick Abbott Habit, and everything will become clear. There's no charge. There's no, you don't have to put your name and your password or any of that stuff in it. It just pops up immediately. There's many, many sites that do it. Or if you are an app person, then download Global Player from your App Store, and it's on there, along with much else besides that will keep you amused from now until the end of time.
They opened their big mouths, and out came talk. Talk, talk.
Martin tweets, how can you not think that the Austin Allegro was the most beautiful car ever produced? I assume you're being sarcastic. The Austin Allegro. Well, it was no Morris Marina. It was no Bond Bug. Do you remember those things? The Bond Bug. It looked like a wedge of cheese. It actually looked like something that you would hold a door open with. In bright orange, because, you know, that made it more beautiful. Orange. You could have it in any colour you like, as long as it was orange. That tells you everything you need to know about the 1970s. The colour, the colour combination of choice was orange and brown.
Dreadful.
Awful. I used to have a pair of shoes that were black and brown. Ian Jury got it right. Shoes like dead pigs' noses.
Affirmative.
That's what it looked like. Looked like a dead pig's nose. He was a man what could do words. No doubt about it. Martin... No, I've done that. Brian in Caversham says, Trump thinks Boris would be an excellent leader. Does he know what Boris thinks of him? If only there was a tape of what Boris thinks of Donald Trump.
I think Donald Trump is clearly out of his mind.
If somebody did have a tape of Boris Johnson insulting Donald Trump, then they should definitely keep it to themselves. Otherwise, it might stymie Boris's chances.
I think Donald Trump is clearly out of his mind.
Here is a call in Washington. Not that Washington. Washington on Tyne and Weir. Brian.
Oh, hi, Nick. I've just been thinking that my nana, she had one of them horrible brown bathroom suites from the 70s.
Brown?
Plastic, like a brownie coloured plasticky thing. Was horrible. I can't remember the name of it. It's a certain type of name for it, but I can't remember what it's called now. Terracotta, was it? No. Oh, God knows, I can't remember now.
A brown bathroom suite?
Oh, yeah, it was like a chocolate brown bathroom suite.
Oh.
It was awful.
See, that exactly. People go on about the 1970s. It was tremendous and wonderful and huge and great. And, oh, no, it wasn't. That people's hair was terrible. People's clothes were terrible. People's bathroom suites were brown.
Oh, absolutely. And platform shoes and all. God.
Yeah. Shoes you couldn't walk in, and jeans which had flares that were so wide that that you flapped down the street. And when they got wet, it made walking a virtual impossibility.
Absolutely. I was a product of the 1980s. I used to go to the pubs in the 1980s. Do you remember the acid house craze was out? That's when I was at the pub. I used to go to this one called the Tunnel. It was pitch black and full of like flashing lights. Mm-hmm. Nobody really spoke to each other. Everyone was just off their heads all the time.
Yes.
Exactly. It was like that, man. But that was good laughs.
But that doesn't sound like a pub. That sounds like a club.
Oh, no, it was a pub.
Oh.
It was like a pub called The Tunnel. It was completely mad. People just to go in there and act completely crazy. And if you end up kissing some bird in there, she was stinking of smoke because obviously there was smokes in there and all.
Yeah. Well, it may or may not have been a bird.
Oh, exactly. It was that dark and you couldn't hear who you were kissing.
Yeah. Okay, keep your lips to yourself, Brian.
Oh, exactly. You're right.
All right. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Did I just use the word bird?
Yes.
May writes, I loved the old days. Remember Nitty Nora in school? Nitty Nora? What's that? I've got no idea what that means. Have you a penny for the guy? Well, I remember that. Parkin, treacle toffee, licorice root. I only understand some of these words, May. But then I have forgotten a lot. I've been forgetting things lately. David in Teddington says the 1970s were great as sometimes the electricity didn't work, and if you had liberal parents, they'd allow you to toast crisps over a candlelight. What's not to like about that? Toast crisps? I've never heard of such a thing. Is that a great step forward in healthy eating? I'm not sure. How can you toast a crisp? Now, if you really want something great, something that will bring back the memories, how about crisp sandwiches? It's the cornerstone to every nutritious breakfast. Hi, Wickham. Hello, Owen.
Hello?
Owen.
Yes.
Yes, yes, Owen.
They were talking about... am I on the phone now, or have I got to put the radio back on?
Yeah, you have to put the radio back. Put the phone down and then turn the radio up, and then we'll be able to hear you more clearly. All right.
Okay.
Well, that worked like a charm. That couldn't have gone any better if I'd scripted it. He's right now shouting at the... Can you hear me? No. Speak louder. Weybridge. Hello, Kevin.
Hello.
Kevin.
Hello, dear boy. How are you?
Oh, no. It sounds like 2 in a row on the Nicky Abbott show. Let's see how long this one lasts. Go ahead.
Don't worry about it. No, I've got to disagree with you, Nick. I do. Normally, I agree with you, but no, you're wrong about pubs. And also, I think you're entirely incorrect about cars.
All right, well, let's deal with pubs first. Why am I wrong about pubs?
Okay, well, the first thing is smoking the smoking ban, has destroyed pubs.
No, that's completely incorrect. You know what percentage of the population smokes?
Well.
I'll just tell you. This is not a test. I'll just tell you. 15%. 15%. If you're aiming your entire business at just 15% of the people that pass by, then you're probably that is a recipe for failure. That is
right. Well, first and foremost, we're talking about pubs, Nick. Right? Pubbers, the percentage of people that go into pubs will be far higher than your 15%.
Yes, but every single one of those people who are out with that 15% that smoke are going to have to suffer for the habit of the people that do smoke, which is another reason why they wouldn't want to go.
So the poor devils that do smoke are the outcasts.
Yeah, quite right. Being only 15%.
Right.
No, it is absolutely right. Totally right.
It's not right.
It is right.
No, of course it's not. Anyway, right.
Well, hang on a minute. Why should everybody else suffer just because some people have got hooked on the world's worst drug?
Come on, suffering. It's absolute garbage. Right, people have been smoking for donkey's years.
Yeah, and those who don't smoke have had to suffer it for donkey's years, for all of that time. It's not... The smell of a cigarette is just flat out awful. It's one of the worst smells that I can think of. But weirdly...
To you.
Yeah, and to everybody that doesn't smoke. There is nothing pleasant about it at all. You could say that some pipe tobacco is pleasant. Outside of that, tobacco itself is a terrible smell on fire.
I think the smell of a Rothman cigarette is not terrible at all, but we'll have to agree to disagree there, won't we?
Well, no, we won't. We'll have to agree that you're wrong.
No,
Yes.
no, Nick, I won't accept
And it
that.
don't make no difference whether it's a Rothmans or a Benson and Hedges or
I don't like Benson's, actually.
well, it's all the blooming same, isn't it?
Well, of course it's not. You're comparing apples and pears.
Rubbish. It's all a blooming same. It's like saying that one washing powder is significantly different from another. No, it's not. They're all the blooming same. They just come in different boxes, that's all.
I've got to say, Nick, I wouldn't understand anything about washing powders, but, so I couldn't argue that position. But anyway, shall we move to the cars then?
Go on, then.
Right. Now, you...
See if you can win this one.
Oh, no, excuse me, you haven't destroyed my last argument, old chap. But anyway, moving on, you cannot tell me for one moment that, and it's lovely for you to bring up, arguments like the Allegro and the Morris Marina and
the Hillman
like
Imp.
that.
How about the Hillman Imp, by the way?
The Hillman Imp was actually a very good car.
A rubbish car. It was a terrible car. The Hillman Imp.
No, it was a very good car.
It was a sewing machine with windows.
No, you're wrong there, Nick. Right? That was the motor car that was powered by a Coventry Climax engine and was actually very, very clever idea. But
it was an excellent. It was an excellent engine if it started.
It was marketed poorly by the Roots Group at the time.
Right. Well, I don't care about any of that. We had one of those things. It was awful.
Yeah, it's a good car.
Terrible. Awful car.
Okay, great. Right. Now, let us talk about something more sensible. How about the E-Type Jaguar? How about the Mark II?
Yeah, the thing with the E-Type, the thing with the E-Type Jaguar. Wait a minute. The thing with the E-Type listen to me. The thing with the E-Type Jaguar is that, and I know this is a revolutionary thing for anyone to say, its proportions are all wrong.
What? That is the most prettiest car that anyone has ever penned in their life.
No, the Aston Martin DB9.
Oh, yes, the DB9. Again, nicked off the Jaguar drawing board when Ford bought both Jaguar and Aston Martin at the same time. But we'll leave that there, Nick. Let's go back to where we were, right? How about the Mark II 3.8 manual overdrive Jaguar? What a pretty car.
Oh, my God. This descended into nerd territory.
It's not nerd.
Yeah.
Nothing nerd.
I tell you what, I'll give you the Rover TC2000.
Oh, dear, what a disaster.
No, that is a fantastic car.
No, the 3500 V8 was a good car.
Right, but we're not talking about the engine, we're talking about how good it looks.
Device. The 2000 TC had absolutely no performance.
Again, that's got nothing to do with it. We were talking about their appearance, not how they go, because these cars would traditionally not go at all. You'd turn the key and nothing would happen. In a 1970s car, unreliability was their watchword.
Not true of a Jaguar. In the 70s, true of a Jaguar.
Come off it.
True, no, Nick. True of a Jaguar in the mid-80s, their reliability was absolutely gone down the tube.
I mean, it's
not then.
The cars are like computers. You remember 10 years ago, your computer used to crash, and it crashed, and it crashed, and it crashed, and it crashed.
Do, Nick.
No, they don't.
Mine does.
Well, you need to get yourself a new computer, Kevin. Step into the new millennium. You never know. You might like it.
I don't understand them. I'm a dinosaur in that respect.
Well, you know what? I can remember being a refusenik for a really long time and not wanting to get a computer. Everybody around me was getting a computer, and I thought Well, it's like you're going to have to learn a new language. And I thought people generally are, and I'm sorry if this sounds insulting, but people generally are quite stupid.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that.
And I thought there's no way that people are going to be able to figure out how to use a computer. So I'll just wait till they make it easy enough for your average dolt to figure out.
Yes.
And that never happened. So I had to join in eventually. Yeah.
And we all did, reluctantly.
Yeah.
And I was probably the most reluctant person in the world.
You're snorting like a piggy, Kevin, and I think I'll leave it there. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Frank says Nitty Nora was the knit nurse who came to school. Ah, now I know who Nitty Nora was. The stuff you learned on this show. It's like an education, ain't it?
No.
Not really.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking. 0345 6060 973. I can't believe that nobody's called about this poll that just came out. A YouGov poll for the Super Soaraway Times. They surveyed a couple of days ago, and they showed all the manner of interesting things that Nigel Farage was complaining about vociferously. Just going on and on and on about it. Hey, Nige.
Stop whining.
But I might get to that in a minute. First of all, here's a very important call in Chelsea. Hello, Graham.
Oh, hello, Dick. Nice to speak to you tonight, and thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for making your call.
Very, very kind. I only recently turned on your programme because I'm about to sort of wander into bed and sort of have a sleep as I'm listening to you. Not that I obviously go to sleep when you're listening to it.
Way too much information, Graham.
Absolutely. I couldn't help be interested to hear about the comments on Jaguar and the E-Type, and I totally agree with you. I actually have the most unusual car. I've got an XJS convertible racing green 5.3, and it was owned by James Hewitt.
Now, wait a minute. The XJS, that was the car that had the same proportions as an E-Type, but didn't work.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think actually the year before I bought mine, there were real problems with it. But I'm thinking mine's all fixed and it's working well. But it is a beautiful looking car because it's well proportioned.
I think that it's I know that this is not going to go down very well with purists, but I think that the one that you're describing is actually a more pleasing, has more pleasing proportions than the E-Type, which has just got, it's just no end of bonnet.
No, yes, that's right, and I agree with you in that respect. I suppose mine has a particular value, obviously, because of the history. The letters, for example, that Lady Diana were discovered in the back of this car, and it does have a real history.
What, you bought a car from James Hewitt, and it had Diana's letters in the back of it? Rubbish.
Well, no, not. I wish. No, that's not true. What actually happened? I was always after an XAS, always for a long, long time, and there was a garage in Maidstone actually that phoned me up, and they said, "Look, we've got a car here that I think you want to see." This was over 20 years ago, and they said, "But however, when you find out who the previous owner was, you may not want to buy it." And I said, "Look, I don't care. Who was it?" And it was it's James Hewitt. I said, "Well, that's okay, fine." And so I went and saw it, tested it out. It was in those days £20,000 then, and
Blimey.
so I'm
£20,000.
Well, that was
how much would it cost now?
Well, do you know what? I've had it valued recently, and they say £20,000. Which I thought, well, that's good news.
I suppose so.
But obviously you pour money into it. It's a bit of a bottomless pit. But it's okay, and it's been looked after in garage, etc. Only got 60 on the clock, so still pretty good. So but what I'm phoning about is not just that, because obviously it's a lovely car. It has a great history to it. I think most of the tabloids have got pictures of him in it at the height of the affair with Lady Diana. So if and when I sell it, if I ever do, that'll go with it.
Complete with pictures.
Complete with pictures, yeah.
But of course, you would never sell it. Like I always say on the Antique Roadshow. Well, of course, I'll never sell it. They usually say, "Oh, I'll never." They usually say, "Oh, I'll never sell it," after a valuation in the hundreds, not thousands.
Yes, yes, you're right. I suppose, if I do get on the streets, which is bad news, apart from sleeping in it, which will be very uncomfortable, I hopefully won't be there.
Does it start reliably?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's a very, very, it's an enormous engine, and it just turns over beautifully. And the thing is, it's got chrome, and it's sort of nice lines, and it's just nothing like today, is it? So that is what I wanted to say. Nothing more.
Of course, that will fall foul of the ULEZ charge, I bet. London's ultra low emissions zone.
Yeah.
Which,
absolutely.
by the way, I found, much to my distress, ticks over at midnight. If I drove my old... I didn't know this. If I drove my 20-year-old car in to do this show, and I parked near here, it would cost me £12.50 to drive in, and then another £12.50 to take it back out again. That doesn't seem fair, does it?
No, it doesn't seem fair. It's the way things are. I was actually thinking of going to get an old sticker that they used to have in the old days, where you say, "My other car's a Rolls Royce." In this way, I may put something on the back of my Jaguar and say, "My other car's a Prius." Which it is.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
So you're you're a cab driver.
No, I'm not. But perhaps I should become one.
You must be the only person on earth who has chosen to buy a Prius for his own use.
Yeah, I know.
Everywhere you go, people must be waving their arms at you from the pavement.
Well, when I drive the Jaguar, it's about 12 to the gallon. The Prius is about 50, 60 to the gallon, so you can see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, all right. Okay, thanks for saving the planet, Graham. Just a little bit.
It's a pleasure speaking to you.
All right, cheers. 0345 6060 973. Every little helps. Phil tweets, the Lib Dem vote is only a protest vote, Nick. They're still as popular as a Trump in a lift. Well, he's talking about this poll, which was somewhat surprising. The latest YouGov poll for the Times of 1,763 people surveyed from May the 28th to the 29th showed that the Tories would be languishing in last position among the leading political parties if we all went to the polls tomorrow to vote in a general election. Not the EU referendum, not the EU elections, because that's for single-issue obsessives. This is a general election. The Tories would be last. The Conservative Party is over. Thanks ever so much for your efforts, but you are no longer required. Please show yourselves out. And it's all thanks to David Cameron trying to shore up support for himself in his own party.
I think this is nonsense.
Yeah, we're still not missing you, Dave. If we do, we know where to find you. You'll be in the shed where they keep the tools. He thought, I'll ask a stupid question, and I'm bound not to get a stupid answer. Yeah, well, guess what? Big surprise. The Conservative Party polled, actually, it's not embarrassingly, well, it is a little bit embarrassing, but it's not in the single digits. They polled 19% in this survey. 19%, which is not terrible. I mean, if it was 9, then that would be reasons to be uncheerful. But 19 is level with Labour. Labour on 19%, the Conservative Party on 19%, and the Brexit Party are clearly in the lead on 22%.
I'm a nutcase.
Which isn't that much greater, really. 22% of the vote. That means that Uncle Nigel's party is the most popular in the land. Except it isn't. Because there is the small inconvenience of the Liberal Democrats, who got 24% of the vote. I am stunned. The Liberal Democrats are the most popular party in the country now. Where did that come from? Well, it came from a dissatisfaction with politics' current malaise. The Conservative Party on 19, the Labour Party on 19, the Brexit Party on 22, and the Liberal Democrats in a clear lead on 24% of the vote. The will of the people is not with you, Nige. I mean, he might win with 31% of the single-issue obsessives that were itching to vote on the day of the European elections. But that was just 36% of the voters. That was the big statistical stunner. Not that the Brexit Party won, but so few people could be bothered to vote. He won about a third of the people who were eligible to vote. It's not the will of the people, it's the will of a third of the people. But as they are the ones that are shouting the loudest, they win, apparently. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Nick Abbott.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, so anyway, as I was saying, what a stunning result. The Conservative Party on 19%, Labour on 19%, the Brexit Party on 22%. And the Lib Dems out in a clear lead on 24% of the vote. I am stunned. And that poll about general election voting intentions rather puts a fly in Uncle Nigel's ointment, don't it? He's not top. The Liberal Democrats are top. But he'll probably say that it was a stitch-up, that he didn't get enough face time on TV, that the media was ignoring him.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
I mean, that was laughable. He's been on TV more than Fiona Bruce. And 10 times as difficult to look at. No offence. But he'll be complaining that he's been looked over for presenter of the Antiques Roadshow next. Nobody wants Nige to fondle their knickknacks. And I know that his party won the EU elections, but the turnout was pitiful. And, like I said, dominated by obsessives. But I bet he was expecting a tally higher than 31%, because the polls just before the vote suggested that he might get 38%. I bet that's what he was waiting for. I bet that's what he was expecting. But he put a brave face on it. Only 31%. I thought he was going to get 38 because the turnout was so low that it must have been utterly dominated by people who wanted who live and breathe this issue all the time. Single issue obsessives. But what's amazing is that their number hasn't really increased. In fact, it's actually gone down. 31% is lower than they got at the referendum, isn't it? I mean, that's not a third. 31%. If he wasn't hoping for at least 38%, then I'm a banana. You know, one of those straight bananas that the evil EU insists we eat. No! And by the way, that really was pathetic. as a turnout. The turnout was up less than 2 percentage points on the last EU election. All of the stuff that's happened between then and now, and the interest is as low now as it was then. What's it going to take, people? After 3 years of this, still people don't care. Isn't that incredible? I just can't believe it. I expected the queues to be out the door and around the church and back again to go and vote in the EU elections that have just gone. I thought you wouldn't be able to get in there. You'd have to take a number and go away, and they'd call you when your turn was up. Two percentage points up on the last election, the turnout. It's just, people of this country just don't seem to care. And the implication of that, to me, is that if 2/3 of the people of this country couldn't be bothered to go and vote, then that does rather imply that they're completely satisfied with the status quo, doesn't it? It does not imply that they're itching to get out. It's that they sort of shrug their shoulders and not that bothered. Unless I'm getting it wrong, in which case you must correct me. 2/3 of us couldn't be bothered to vote.
Oh, fabulous.
I mean, we really deserve everything we get, don't we? And here's how it actually adds up. I know that a lot of people were putting their own spin on this, but you have to discount the Labour Party and the Conservative Party from the innies and the outies, because who even knows what they agree on? They all disagree with each other in every way, shape and form. You can't say that the Labour Party is 100% out, and you can't say the Conservative Party is 100% out. They seem to be split down the middle, just like everybody else. So take them out, and you've got the anti-Brexit parties, the Lib Dems, the Greens, the SNPists, Change UK. Does anybody remember Change UK?
No.
Not really. And Plaid Cymru, 40.4% anti-Brexit. Pro-Brexit, which is the Brexit Party and UKIP.
The arguments that UKIP stands for aren't valid.
34.9%. It's tight, just as it always has been. But the Remainers trump the Leavers, as they have done in every poll that has been conducted ever since the EU referendum. Every poll by a bar about 2, and they do them every week. Pretty much every single week since the EU referendum, there's been polls conducted, and all of them, bar about 2, in the 3 years since, have come out with Remain on top, or, as it's supposed to be pronounced, Ramon. Turnout was 36.7%. That is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. And the proof that the Tories and the Labour weren't seen as either overwhelmingly Remain or overwhelmingly Leave is that they performed equally badly in strong Remain and strong Leave areas. If you look at where they did well, you'll see that the Tories couldn't get above 10% in areas that were 70% Remain, and they couldn't get above 10% in areas that were 70% Leave. They kind of flatlined. So there wasn't this impression that people had that they are a Remain or a Leave party. Same with Labour. Labour polled about the same in Remain in areas that were 60 to 70% Remain in the EU referendum, and they polled the same in areas that were 60 to 70% Leave. So obviously the public don't get the sense that either party really represents one or other of the extremes. So take them out, and you'll find that the anti-Brexit parties just pipped the pro-Brexit parties. Actually, it's more than just. It's by about 5%. 34.9% for pro-Brexit, 40.4% for anti-Brexit. So that is a significant margin. And, you know, if it had been the other way around, then we would never have heard the end of it. On and on and on he would have gone. But instead, he was complaining that that they weren't, that they were hidden. They're hidden under other, as they traditionally would have been. Whereas the Lib Dems scored the strongest in Remain areas, and the Brexit Party obviously were strongest in Leave areas, because people knew what they were knew what they were about and acted accordingly. Does anybody want to go again?
No.
Let's have a call in Hampstead. Hello, Charles.
Yeah, hi, Nick. Hi.
Charles.
I'd like to say that I've been listening to you since 1978, LBC.
Wow. 78?
Yeah, well, that was a long time. I was a young man at the time. I was 21. Now I'm 64.
I wasn't on LBC in 1978.
No, but Mike Dickin was. Yeah, but
you mean listening to LBC since 1970? Right, I get you.
Yeah, I beg your pardon. Yeah, I was going to say, with the classic cars, I'm dying to know what car did you have, the old car, because you talk about this old car, but you never mention it.
Yeah, quite right. And I probably never will. I've still got it. It works. It's 20 years old.
Yeah, well, I've got a 1984 camper van.
VW?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Split windscreen?
No, those were earlier. Those came out in, I think they came out in 65, and they stopped making them in 72. And then you had the bays, which came in.
So do you ever camp in your van?
Yeah, I do regularly, yeah.
You do?
Yeah, I go. I was up in Centrepod about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And also I've got a 96 Mercedes 320, an old one. So because I live in London, the low emissions is really going to affect me, but they've given us 5 years grace. I can't go into the congestion charge area, but I can go around it. If I do go into it, I've got to pay the £12 a day or £10 a day, but low emissions.
I really chafed at that, because it just seems desperately unfair. If you go into the zone, it's the ultra-low emissions zone, which isn't an ultra-low emissions zone at all. They're telling fibs about that. Liar! Because if I bought a petrol or diesel car this year, then I get a pass. But I would expect that if I turn the engine on in a garage and close the door, then I would find out pretty quickly that it's not ultra-low emissions at all.
Well, first of all, Nick, I'd like to say that the Lord Mayor, I was walking down the high road the other day, and one of his buses was pumping out.
No, you don't mean the Lord Mayor, do you?
No, sorry, the Mayor.
Yeah.
And the buses was pumping out toxic pollution. I couldn't breathe. I had to get off the main road because it was choking me.
Yeah. I've been in that position many times. Like you walk down the road, like the Strand, for instance, is an absolute nightmare. You walk down and you breathe in a little bit, and then you think, oh God, no, I'm going to walk for another 10 yards because I can't breathe in here. And then in 10 yards' time, you're still in this toxic cloud. You think, how long do I have to walk before I can breathe in now?
Well, I was down the King's Road last year on a summer's day, and I had to get off the King's Road because I just couldn't breathe in anymore. But it is the old taxis, it is all these cars now that have been used as mini cabs. There's so much more traffic on the roads now.
Well, you say that, but maybe it was just because it's the time of year with Easter, and then there's like a couple of bank holidays and so on. But lately, I've noticed that there's not very much traffic on the road. It might just be that on a bank holiday, London kind of clears out much more than you would expect. But
it does. You're right. Yes, it does.
But I've been really surprised at how little traffic there is.
Yeah. Well, they're going to extend it up to the M25 soon. So
what?
Again, yeah. But the emissions is going to be extended in 5 years' time.
I don't think that's right. I think it's not to the M25. I think it's going to be extended to the circular, the North and South Circular, isn't it?
No, that's in 2021.
Oh my God! Well, this is new news.
Yes.
You heard it here first, or last, depending.
Yeah, it will be up to the M25 in 2025, but in 2021 it'll be up to North Circular. I mean, I live within the North Circular, so it will affect me. But I've got 5 years grace, so I've got this old Mercedes, and I've got my van. But I've had my van for 35 years, and it will be tax exempt, but I'll be close to 69 years of age. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Really, I've waited 35 years. You know, I've kept this bus because originally it was 25 years, and then they changed it to each year it goes up. But now, I think it has to be 35 years and 4 months over, and then it becomes vintage or tax exempt.
But see, now why would it be tax exempt? I don't really understand the logic behind that, because that's encouraging people to drive horrible, polluting, clapped-out cars like yours and mine.
Yeah, but they did. But years ago, but there were many MPs who went out and bought classic cars as investments, and they were tax-free, and they could drive them around. I mean, I've been driving classic cars for 35 years because of the low insurance. Because I pay on a Mercedes, I pay roughly 200. My van is about 180, and I've got a little Polo that I use as a town car.
You've got 3 cars?
Yes, but I don't do more than 5,000 miles a year.
I suppose you can only drive one at a time.
Yes, of course, and they're all off-road parking or garage. So
in Hampstead.
Yeah.
Good grief! We really are reaching the ABC ones on this show, eh?
Can I tell you, Nick?
Yes.
Nick, I've got off-road parking. The rates people now are going to charge me for off-road parking because they prefer you to have residential parking. So if you park your cars on your own drive or inside the perimeters of your house, you'll be charged extra on the rates.
You're kidding me.
No, but they're moving the coal burst to suit themselves all the time.
So you have to. I'm stunned. Because I used to live in an area where I used to have to shell out for residence parking. But now, because I didn't have a garage or a drive or anything, because I was living in a flat. So even if you've got your own property, you still can't park it on your property. The government still wants some money from you.
Yes, but you can park it on there, but they would charge you for off-road parking on your rates. It'd be because I've already been asked this, but where do you keep the car? Is it, have you got your own drive? I said, yes, so therefore you'll be charged extra on your rates. Yeah, it is horrendous. But tell me, what car have you got, please? I'm dying to know.
I'm definitely not going to tell you that.
Why? You've never mentioned it.
It's not a classic, it's just old.
Yeah, but what is it? I'm dying to know.
Yeah, because I'm not going to tell you. It's got 4 wheels, and that's 5 actually, including the steering one.
Yeah, but I love Mike Allen.
And that's as much as I'm divulging.
Yeah, but Mike Allen's, but he drives a Bentley, isn't it? He loves his Bentley.
You mean Steve Allen?
Yeah, Steve Allen.
Steve Allen, yeah. Well, I keep hearing about this Bentley. I haven't seen it in person, but believe me, it's nothing like a Bentley.
No,
not even adjacent to a Bentley. If I parked next to his Bentley, the police would probably tow it away. Yeah, Charles, I'm going to have to go, but thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC, Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC. Let me just take this moment to remind you about my podcast. If you've got 30 minutes and you wish to be amused, then it'll be right up your alley. If you have our app, then you'll find it on there. If you haven't, then go to your app store and download Global Player. It's got all of the stations that we do here, which are too numerous to mention in a brief 3-hour show. There's just so many of them. And we do loads of podcasts. So if you scroll down to the Global Podcasts and then way over to the right, then you'll find them right at the end there. If you don't do that kind of thing by phone, you do it on Pewter, then just point your search engine at The Nick Abbott Habit. Ask for it by name.
Come on, we're running late.
0345 6060 973. Dowlin Hove writes, how crazy is politics getting? that so many people are happy to vote for a party, the Brexit Party, whose manifesto is a blank sheet of paper. That's right. They said, here's our manifesto. They said, yeah, we've got no idea. Vote for us and we'll think it up later. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
I am stunned. We've got no idea what we believe in, but believe in us, they said. And almost a third of about a third that could be worth the vote said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Sign me up. Rob says, I'm still hopeful that my mad bet of 100-1 for Vince Cable to be the next Prime Minister is still on. Uncle Vince is not going to be the next PM. He may be in coalition with Uncle Jezza. He said, the universe just gave me a feeling. Same as betting against England in the World Cup. I win loads, says Rob. Well, the house always wins more. That's the thing about betting. Nobody ever lost any money by running a casino apart from the genius Donald Trump.
Oh, shut up!
He seemed to find a way. Not very smart.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
How has he lasted so long? Well, it's because of all the money that Daddy gave him. Approximately how much was it?
I make $400 million a year, so what difference does it make?
Yeah, that's right. $400 million, more or less. That's what he got from Daddy. We just kept bailing him out over and over and over again. Tom from Salter. Oh, God, the lights have just gone out. If they had only just given me a couple more minutes. Now I have to wave my arms in the air like I just don't care. Tom in Salter emails, I think the reason no one is calling you about the recent YouGov poll is that they're often ridiculously askew to anything relating to real life. Well, that seems about right, doesn't it? That seemed about right to me. It feels right, there or thereabouts. The Conservative Party are on 19% and Labour are on 19%. I mean, it's not a complete washout. It's not an utter and total disaster. But if you ask people at this minute, that's probably where people are. What is stunning, though, is that the Liberal Democrats have got so much. Full disclosure, I voted Lib Dem this time around. Looks like I got it correct.
Affirmative.
Because I usually go with the Greenies.
Groovy.
I've voted Green for many, many years now because they were none of the above. But this time around, I thought, well, you know what? The Greens are always sort of there and thereabouts. They're always about 3 or 5%, something of that order. Unless you live in Brighton,
Yowza.
when they win, and they win big, but only in Brighton. So I thought this time around I'll vote tactically, you know, like a smart person. And me and everybody else in London did pretty much the same thing, I think. Hang on a minute, I haven't finished with that. Put that back. Undo what you just did. There it is. Because I haven't finished this very, very important email. I'm only halfway through it. It says, I've been gagging from the beginning. I think the reason no one's calling you about the recent YouGov poll is they're often ridiculously askew to everything relating to real life. And my case was, I don't think it is. That sounds about right. About 20% for Labour and the Conservatives, because we're all very, very upset with them right now. There's always going to be people who vote Labour and Conservatives because that's what they've always done, and they've not thought about it their entire lives. They just mark the X next to the appropriate box and then get on with their lives. But the rise of the Lib Dems is as stunning as the rise of the Brexit Party is predictable. People are talking about that like it's just an amazing political occurrence. It's a wave that nobody expected. I expected it. It's the exact same percentage of people that voted to leave the EU. It's a third. A third said out, a third said in, and a third said, I don't know. And they still do. After 3 years, nobody's changed their mind at all. I am stunned. Anyway, he says, I've been gagging to be asked my opinions on anything politically related from them lately, but instead I got one today asking me about pop music. Something I have no interest in whatsoever. I rest my case, says Tom. Well, it's probably a good thing that they didn't ask you about anything politically related, because it sounds to me very much like you have an axe to grind. You've already made your mind up, and you just wanted to spew your opinion all over the polling company. But pop music, I'd like to be asked about my opinion on pop music, and I'd say with justification that it's rubbish these days. Don't get me started on that. I bet you're a young person. What's top of the charts?
Oh my goodness.
See? No idea. Chris writes, Nick, no matter how much you look at the figures, the Brexit Party are the ones who have got their bums on seats in the EU Parliament. That is true. Well, it actually isn't true. They got elected to the European Parliament, but I bet their bums are not on the seats there. If by bums on seats you mean actually showing up for debates and showing up for votes, I bet those seats are empty. If Uncle Nige is anything to go by, does he show up for votes? Does he show up for debates? No, he takes a private plane in, blows through the place, puts a video of his rehearsed speech on YouTube, and then blows out again. If that is called representing the interests of this country, then I'm a banana.